You also want to be sure that the lining comes up and meets the shoulder seam, and we're covered at the bottom. And important also, but just less important, is at the back here. If it's a little bit shorter, you needed more length on the front, it'd be okay to give it to the front here because we've got all this inlay on the side. You want to be sure that we have a waist in our coat. We also have the waist in the lining to match, so that little allowance there. If you've got a little piece coming out of here like I have, that's okay. This gets cut away here for the collar. So if you're just a shy a little bit there, that's okay. Don't worry about that. So the straight edge of the lapel, this here, this is straight on the cloth, there's no straight line of the cloth. So if you had a stripe, the stripe would be running parallel with the front edge. Okay. Now this cloth doesn't have a stripe in it, but like all cloth, it's woven. It's got a warp and a weft. So if we want to find the straight grain of the cloth, we simply remove some of the fibers from the weft, and that will indicate the straight edge. What I mean by that is this: the fibers like that. If the fibers run off, you know that we've got our straight edge there. I'm just going to have a little look. So here, typically what I do is whenever I do my facings, I'll baste the right one on first, and then I'll baste the left one at the right side of the left side. I'll be able to compare them. But we already have this one on, so I'm just going to have a little look on this side here, just to check these widths. Okay, sure, I'll go this. That's good. So take a little bit off this front edge.
Are you cutting along your original line?
I'm cutting it. I was using this edge as a guide. I was trying to cut it straight. It was straight. Let's take a bit out of there. Yeah, just marking it for the width here. So I've got the right width coming through this part here. I was just cutting off the accents on this side. Your facings that I cut for you guys should just go on. They're you can see the original facing line here, which is up to where we have. So when we start the baste, we don't start at the top of the point. We come down. We're starting our baste down here. The reason for that is we work some fullness in here. The reason why we put fullness in here is so that this will roll back. There's a little bit of length there. It helps there's a point on the notch just to sit back, so whenever the coat's finished, it doesn't tend to flick up like a dog's ear. So you want to come down about 1.25 inches from the edge of the seam. The needle in, the knot. Start to baste this along the edge. You're basting this flat, there's no fullness going into it. I'm also I can feel the ridge of the canvas, so I'm putting my basting stitch right on top of that ridge. The reason why I'm putting it right there, so I'm taking a slightly wider seam than what I'm going to sew off. When I come to sew this off, I don't want to sew into my basting stitch. When you start to pull out your basting stitch and you've sewed a machine stitch on top of it, there's a chance you could break the machine stitch. There's a chance you wouldn't notice that it's broken, and then when you finish your coat, you're finding you're getting a hole right in the front edge, which would not be suitable at all. As we come down, as the lapel starts to round, you start to swing the facing over. Swinging of the facing allows fullness up into the chest area. The reason why we put fullness into the chest area is to help the chest sit out. Remember all that work that we put in with the padding stitches to create length in the canvas in order to have to push out the chest, and then we canvassed it off. We got on our bridle, drawing it off here. This is all to help to create that shape. Then the padding of the lapel by hand to create the roll over. Now as we come to put the lining on, the facing on, we want to create length, put length in here to complement the length that's in the chest. There's no saying on Savile Row, is it a dirty inside is a clean outside. What they meant by that was a lot of fullness. It looked like dirt on the inside of the coat. There's a lot of fullness in here. It would mean it was very clean out here. The fullness in there would have to push out that chest. Obviously now with cloths being much lighter than what we were, we can't get away with putting in as much fullness, but also we don't need to have as much fullness, we can't create the same amount of shape. So we get into the space around the lapel. Until we come into the position of top button right here. From here we now